Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be able to talk to Brent Dusin today. He is the founder of TruPlay Games. He has bought and sold other companies, and now this is his forever company, bringing Christian entertainment, good entertainment to the masses. And so he's going to tell us a little bit about his platform today. And there's some opportunities for Black Friday pricing and some discounts coming up for Christmas in case this is a gift that you want to give your children or someone in your family. So without further ado, let's jump in.
Classical Conversation Studios presents Refining Rhetoric with CEO Robert Bortons, a podcast where faith, business, politics, and classical education meet. Join us as we use the classical tools of rhetoric to seek truth in every arena of life.
Hello and welcome to a special episode of Refining Rhetoric. I'm excited to have Brent Dusin with me. He is the CEO, founder of a new type of game called TruPlay Games, where it's great stories and integrates play into a Christian biblical worldview and just helps you, if you are someone who lets your kids play video games, a way of putting them in front of something that's going to reinforce your family's worldview instead of something that's going to detract from it. So, Brent, welcome to the show.
Hey, good to be with you, Robert.
Now, Brent, why start a new game platform? There's plenty of games out there. What were you seeing that inspired you to start a new company and try to reach Christian families in a new way?
Well, you're right. There are plenty of games. The problem is there's a lot of toxic games and there's a lot of toxic content out there. And I know if you're listening and you're part of everything that Robert's doing, you know that there's a lot of bad stuff out there. And so my concern was in starting TruPlay. Look, the average. This is a shocking statistic. While 60% of Americans believe in God without a doubt, which is pretty good actually, only 31% of children believe in God without a doubt. So that's a real crisis. And you say to yourself, wow, how did we get here? Was there a scientific discovery that kids know that parents don't? Well, no, of course not, right? It's because children are bombarded. They're on screens 52 and a half hours a week, and they're bombarded with neutral to negative content about who God is and the truth of God and morality, right? The average male is exposed to pornography when he's 11 years old, toxic social media messages, hyper violence in games and movies and music, sexuality pushed on young kids, just awful stuff. And so our whole thought with TruPlay was, look, there's a lot of toxic content that's hitting kids all the time. And what we've got to do is find a way to build something that they're going to love, because the Robitussin approach doesn't work. What is Robitussin? Robitussin is, I know this doesn't taste good, but you need to drink it. It'll help your cough. If you're a parent out there and your kid's been sick, you know what I mean. But that doesn't really work with entertainment, right? I grew up in the 80s. I think you grew up in the 80s. That's how things were kind of pushed on us. And it doesn't work anymore when you have infinite entertainment options, on your mobile device in your fingertips. So our thought was, no, let's build something that's like chocolate cake, but stuffed with vitamins and calcium and protein. So as the kid wants to eat it, and as a parent, you're excited because they're actually getting God's word in every piece of content that we make.
Yeah, no, growing up, like you mentioned, we had Christian video games or Christian cartoons, but they didn't seem to be very compelling. They weren't engaging. And of course, we always want to, limit screen time here at Classical Conversations. And we know that those studies, but the reality is, most of us are going to let our kids have some screen time. And I know, just like I was playing a Google game the other day and an ad popped up that was extremely inappropriate. And so there's so many ways to get to young people in a negative way. So, like, am I going to see ads from third-party providers? Like, how does TruPlay work? And, like, why are the stories good, Brent?
Sure. So first of all, to describe TruPlay, if you're listening, it's one app with a whole bunch of games inside it. And these are high quality games that you can play for hours and hours and hours. In fact, when you look at our games, when we're looking at the statistics in our games, our games are performing as well in terms of consumers' usage of them, their enjoyment rates, our customers, our kids, they're using them as much as they're using the top 10 games in the App Store. So if you subscribe to TruPlay, I promise you your kid's going to love it because our statistics tell us so. And the feedback we're getting from parents is awesome. Now, TruPlay is a whole bunch of games inside one app. It's also video content. There's some great video content. We just released some prayer videos a few days ago with our characters. They're done in a really winsome way. I'll tell you about that. And then we also have digital comics. So we partner with the Action Bible, in my mind, one of the best kids' Bibles out there. They've sold 3 million copies. You probably have a copy at your home. It's like the Bible, 2-inch thick Bible told as a comic book. We have
Yeah.
content from the Kingstone Comics, which is also really high quality Christian comics. So we got comics, video content, games, and it's so much content already that I doubt your child will even get through it all. There's so much stuff, and we're adding new stuff all the time. We have a new game that comes out probably by the time this podcast airs. It'll be out called Benjamin and the Armor of God. So, Ephesians 6, right? The armor of God. Well, we made a whole game about that goes for hours and hours. And this boy his name is Benjamin, and he's a warrior, and he's fighting against these monsters. But he's learning what the armor of God is about, and he's learning how to pray to God. And when you're tired and beaten down, how do you look to God for help and sustenance? Now, TruPlay has no ads, no in-app purchases, no chat rooms. Look, we're at TruPlay. We're all people who are professionals with a lot of experience and success in our backgrounds, but almost all of us are parents. So we lived through. If you're a parent out there listening, you're a Christian parent, you want your kids to get Christian content. We lived through the same thing you're living through, right? Just like you said, you had an inappropriate ad. A few years back, my sweet little girl, she comes in my room 3 a.m. She's 8 years old at the time. Had a nightmare. Why? Well, because she was playing the ballerina ice skating game, no problem, except there was an ad for a zombie apocalypse game, right? And that's frankly not even the worst. When you look at all the
Right.
sexual content, the drug use, and all that stuff that gets pushed in these ads, so you don't have to worry about that with TruPlay. We want you as a parent to know it's safe and you can trust it, but even more than that, we're not just here to be a safe playground. We're here to be something that uplifts and edifies your kid. Every piece of content we make contains God's truth. I'd be happy to tell you more about that.
Yeah, my son Trey's been playing it. We downloaded the app and have been using it, and I did notice that he was talking about the characters and actually repeating some of the Bible verses that was shared through the game. So I thought that was really cool because I wasn't quite honestly expecting that. I was just trying to see what y'all had developed, and he's the fact that he's asking to play that when he has like Minecraft and other games that we've kind of vetted to let him play, I think speaks volume from my personal experience on that. So tell us, are these characters throughout the games? Is there like one kind of narrative storyline that's being developed? And tell us a little bit more about really why it's not going to be like the video games of the 80s.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, first of all, I'm so glad to hear your son enjoyed it. That means a lot to me and my entire team. We that's why we show up to work, and I'm glad he's getting something out of it from a spiritual standpoint. And I'll tell you the reason why. You said, "Well, gosh, he was quoting scripture from the game." Here's why that works. How many of you out there are fans of Star Wars? I am. I'm a huge fan of the original. Luke Skywalker and the first 3 movies, amazing, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people are fans of the Marvel movies or Superman. I'm a big Superman fan. In fact, Dean Cain, who played Superman, has endorsed us. He's a great guy, great friend.
Mm.
Um, so I'm into kryptonite and the Force, and Yoda says do or do not, but there is no try. Okay, so we learn those things through being entertained, right? The average person who's our age, the average male, could tell you what the Force is and what Darth Vader's real name is, and that Boba Fett was a clone of his dad, Jango Fett, blah, blah, blah. Why? Not because we took a test, but because we just got excited and we were inside the content. We were engaged and the story was told through. So that's the way we do it at TruPlay. So at TruPlay, we have a lot of stories we tell because we have a lot of games and content. So some of our games are based straight out of the Bible. We have a game called Stained Glass where you match stained glass pieces. They like in a puzzle style game, like a Candy Crush or a Royal Match or Bejeweled Blitz, that style. You collect the glass pieces, they form a stained glass window, and the window comes to life, and a character tells you their story, what it was like to go through their experience. Eve.
And these are biblical characters.
Yes, Eve, Noah, Sarah, Abraham's wife. Noah, we just released the Noah story. We actually have Rahab coming out next year. And so I think, unfortunately, too often people look at the Bible as it's some nice fairy tales. No, no, no. The Bible's the story of real people encountering a real God, right? And so that's what stained glass is. It's what if you were in the shoes of these people? And that's what stained glass is about. We have another game that's coming out next year called King David's Battles, where you literally play David and you fight his battles, and you go through also the emotional journey he went through. He's anointed king, but he doesn't get any respect, and he has to. His parents don't necessarily buy into what's going on, and he has to. Saul also starts to be threatened by him, and you guys know the story. And so it's also a journey of David going from being a boy to being a man, which, as you know, as a culture anymore, we do a very poor job of teaching boys to be men. We have another set of content, as I mentioned, from the Action Bible and from the Book of God, which is made by Kingstone Comics, where it's biblical or real life historical stories about God and the church and Jesus Christ. Now, we also have a whole universe of content we've created. If you look at my T-shirt, I have this skunk with a crocodile robot suit. You might see, if you go to TruPlay, a little girl who's a bunny rabbit with a tiger costume on. And this is a whole a universe we've created called the Rimverse, where these characters are they're fantastical, obviously, and they live in this world where God is real and the Bible is true, but there's real evil. And so they have real personalities, just like kids of today. Maple is a very strong Christian. She's very headstrong. She doesn't always pronounce all her words correctly. And she doesn't really have an interest in other people's opinions. She just charges ahead and plows forward. But she's got a good heart. She's trying to do the right thing. Lucas, who's on my shirt, is our most popular male character. He's on the autism spectrum, and like a lot of kids are today. And Lucas is also, his brother died about a year ago. And that doesn't make sense to him. And he doesn't really know who God is. His mother's a Christian, but it doesn't make sense to him. He can't really process his brother's passing away. And so he goes on this big journey, this big adventure about that. We have another character whose name is Oliver. He's adopted. He's a fox adopted by a bear family, has some unresolved questions, and also is a bit of more of a scientist, and doesn't know. He kind of believes God exists, but doesn't understand why would somebody pray if you can't see God if he's not there. So Maple kind of takes him through that. We also have a girl whose name is Ava, who is getting bullied at school, and her parents are divorced. And she has to learn that your identity, who you are, is not who people say you are. It's who God made you to be. It's who God says you are. And that's a message that every child needs. And so the Rimverse story with Maple and Oliver and Benjamin and Ava and others are told through a bunch of different games, cartoons, comics, and it's this grandiose adventure where there's bad guys, there's an evil queen who's taken all the Bibles out of the society they live in. And so that's caused this massive, terrible effect on the whole culture, and the way that the children have to battle and fight against the evil queen is great. And there's spaceships and all kinds of exciting fights that go on to an adventure.
Thank you so much for listening to Refining Rhetoric and sharing it with your friends. I wanted you to know about other podcasts that Classical Conversations puts on. If you're a homeschool parent, then you have got to check out our Everyday Educator podcast, hosted by lifelong learner Lisa Bailey. It's our longest running show. We started it in 2015. The show is jam-packed with practical tips, resource recommendations, and encouraging stories from parents about the joys and challenges of homeschooling. So be sure to check out that. And if you're a mom who's looking for parenting tips, stories of encouragement, and fun, honest conversation about the ups and downs of motherhood with moms in all stages of the journey, then join Delise and Jenny on blessings and motherhood. These fun, thoughtful episodes are filled with insight, book recommendations, and impactful parenting stories that you won't want to miss if you're a mom. And if you're a dad listening, be sure that your wife knows about this. And if you are the primary educator, you might enjoy it too, but this is going to be right up her alley. You can listen to both of these shows on your favorite podcast streaming app of choice, or on their websites, everydayeducatorpodcast.com and blessingsandmotherhood.com. That's everydayeducatorpodcast.com and blessingsandmotherhood.com. So be sure to check those out and keep tuning in to Refining Rhetoric. Now, you talked about these new games that are coming out. Am I having to make new purchases every time a new game comes out? Or is that all built into kind of the platform pricing?
No, it's all built in. So TruPlay is one subscription price, and already you can download TruPlay today. In fact, we have a partnership with Classical Conversations. I believe there's a promotion available for you as a Classical Conversations customer, and so you can get TruPlay with a special promotional price. And so we're excited about that, especially a good thing. Christmas is right around the corner, and so no, you pay one price. It's a monthly price, just like you would pay a subscription to a Netflix or a Disney Plus. And I know a lot of you out there have a lot of questions about those two platforms and the content on there. Well,
Yeah.
so do we, right? So do we. So for us, let's give you something we know your kid's going to love. I promise you. Look at our ratings, the statistics in our games, and so we have a bunch of content already. We have so much content, I don't think your kid will even get through it. And then we're adding more all the time. The Benjamin game will be out by the time this podcast goes out. And we have two more games coming out before the end of the year, and then next year King David's Battles, and we're releasing new stuff all the time, new videos, new comics with Kingstone, with Action Bible, new videos. So it's a living, breathing service. Just like if you subscribe to Amazon Prime or a Netflix, and there's new shows all the time, there's new episodes. That's what we're doing. We're adding new levels. The Ava game I mentioned, the one where Ava is getting bullied and her dealing with her parents' divorce, and it's a really fun game because it's a slingshot game, kind of where you go explode these towers, these strongholds, these bad guys build, and Ava kind of builds up her self-confidence in God's power. It's one of our most popular games. Well, we're finding it's so popular, we need to build more levels for it. So we have new levels coming out shortly. So that's what we're working hard. When you subscribe to TruPlay, when you buy a subscription, we're not using that money to go, just do silly things. We're using it to reinvest in the product, to build more and more great content for you and your family.
And I think ultimately you want to compete with Disney to almost take them down because of how they've gone. That this is going to be more of a opportunity really to say build on these characters, maybe build a theme park one day, do a bunch of cool stuff, right?
Well, it's funny, if you look at dial back to 25 years ago or 30 years ago. Look at The Lion King. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, my favorite animated movie. And I think a lot of people would say that. Think about how, as a parent, if your child says to you, let's watch the original Lion King. Yeah, sure. Because you'll enjoy it too. Some of the older princess movies too. In fact, I rewatched Pinocchio. This is a movie that's 83 years old. I rewatched it with my kids couple years back. It's still funny. You still laugh. So when Walt Disney and really a lot of what Katzenberg did too, those guys were making movies that people of all ages would love. And they were telling you stories, and they were getting you to fall in love with characters. But there was usually in the Disney stories a really good message. What's the Lion King's message? A boy becomes a man, right? A boy has to get past his trauma and all the things that were wrong. Yes, I'm sorry your father died. Yes, you were blamed and framed, and you were mistreated. But at the end of the day, you have to move past that because people need you, right? And that's a message that every boy needs to hear. Let's not wallow in the past. Let's take our identity grow up as be a man and take responsibility to use your strength to help other people. So in terms of what we're doing, we're going to continue to build more great games, more great video content, more great comics, and deeper games, and more experiences. We're just getting started, and we're so thrilled that so many families are seeing it's helping them. And let me say this: we just learned this. Again, if you're listening to this, you're thinking, well, should I buy this or not? Let me ask you this question: if you take a friend to Starbucks once a month, if you the choice between that or we can more than double. If you take your kid to church one time a week, we can more than double your child's exposure to the Word of God. And here's what I mean. The average child is using TruPlay 90 minutes a week. And I promise you, every piece of content we make contains God's truth. So we're more than doubling the average church-going family's exposure to the Word of God. Now, if you're a Classical Conversations customer, obviously you're teaching Christian curriculum. You guys are all the way in it. So that, which is awesome. But my point just is, when you look at your kids' entertainment time and their edification time, we really believe this is a solution for you as a parent, that you're not going to have to force your kid to ask. In fact, most parents I talk to, their kid is asking them to play, and they're having to say, "Hey, you're out of screen time. You ran out of time." But at least your kid's going to love it, and they're going to learn about God's truth in really creative, beautiful ways.
Well, Brent, I'm so glad that y'all put this together. And of course, our family, probably like many of y'all's, is always struggling with screen time and asking for more and just trying to figure that balance out. So, like we talked earlier offline, we're not trying to get your kids to spend 6 hours a day on your phones like some people do, but we know that they will be entertainment options available, and we want them to be able to pick the best things and things that will continue to undergird and uplift your worldview and not undermine it. So, Brent, of course, we'll have a link below for Classical Conversations families. But for those and those people listening can use that link as well. But for just the general audience, what's your website? What are some social media? What are some ways to connect with you all and see if this type of entertainment would be good for their kids? And also, because I haven't really asked you, my kid's 8. What's the kind of target market for you all? I mean, is this for like 16-year-olds, 2-year-olds? And can you just give us the lowdown there?
So the target market is kind of ages 5 through 12, although we do have some teenagers playing. We have some 30-year-old kids play too, if you know what I mean. In other words, we have a lot of parents who enjoy playing with their kids. It's funny, when we built TruPlay, we did a lot of testing because we had to make sure kids really enjoyed it. We had to, test and make adjustments and test and make adjustments. And we would test, and we'd have parents watch their kid play and go, "Hey, that looks fun. Can I have a chance? Can I have a try? Can I have a turn?" And so we find in our data and our feedback from parents, they enjoy playing it. It's fun. We try to write stories and tell stories in a way that's fun and winsome, but also in a way that adults can enjoy them. Just like I mentioned, if you watch The Lion King, you enjoy it too. We aspire to write that way. I think we put a lot of love and intentionality into our stories to kind of touch on, excitement and some drama, but also the real emotional heart of people, but also hopefully the heart of God. Hopefully that hey, God loves you. God really does care about you, and these are foundational truths that are in the Bible and that you can carry with you. So the way you can access TruPlay Games, obviously, if you're, we're so honored to be partnering with Classical Conversations, and you guys have been doing an amazing job for years and years and years, helping families, raise their kids the right way. And we're honored to be working with you. And if you're, the other ways to get in touch, TruPlayGames.com. It's TRUPLAY. So drop the E, TRUPLAY games.com. You can also go to, we're on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're also on TikTok, for whatever that's worth. And also we're on the App Store. So by the way, TruPlay is one app downloadable on just about any iOS device, phone or iPad, or an Android device, phone or tablet. We are our mobile first product because that's where kids are. And we appreciate you guys checking out TruPlay and hope it's a blessing to your family.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us on today's podcast, Brent, and wish you the best of luck. And I'm excited about some of these games that are coming out in the future and just continuing to see my kid play them and flourish. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Robert. It's good to be with you today, and God bless you guys.
Well, I really enjoyed talking to Brent and hearing about how they're developing these stories and the importance of biblical truths in them. And not just that, but telling good stories that are entertaining and captive. Of course, we're not suggesting that you should give your kid more screen time. We're just suggesting that if you do give your kid screen time, how can we make it more in line with your family's values instead of just some mindless entertainment? Because I know that's things that all of our families struggle with. So just an opportunity for those who do allow their kids screen time to maybe have a better option than has been available in the past. So check out the links below and have a wonderful Christmas season.
Thank you for listening to Refining Rhetoric with Robert Bortons. Want more? Make sure to subscribe so you won't miss an episode. You can also follow us on social media to continue the conversation, and visit classicalconversations.com/rhetoric to find out how you can join a local homeschool community.